Hey folks, it's VannKraken, 4-year World of Warships player and World of Warships Legends alpha tester. I'm excited to bring you tonight our first episode of Ship Style Live, which is going to be our in-depth review series on premium ships in World of Warships Legends. Tonight we're going to look at the light cruiser de Grasse, one of my favorite ships in the game. If you didn't catch the introduction to this series, check out the card up in the corner below. That'll take you to a buyer's guide for premium ships as well as an in-depth overview of how tonight will work. But since you can view that in another video, we're going to jump right into the proceedings. So de Grasse currently is a $40 ship in the PlayStation Store. She's also on the World of Warships Legends tech tree, but not currently in the in-game store. So she'll rotate to different spots. Generally, she's available, and you'll soon see why I think she's a great cruiser for intermediate to advanced players to really learn and enjoy and appreciate cruiser play. Section 1 of tonight will be Vital Intelligence, the facts, performance stats, setup, and playstyle of this ship. Section 2 will be different from some of the other video reviews you see of premium ships, in that we'll look at a block of games, not just a single game where everything goes well. We'll try to look from worst to best, situations that really suited the ship, those that didn't, and give you a sense of how she plays under different conditions. Thirdly, we'll review our results and match those up against what are you looking for in a premium ship? What is your ship style? A ship that is great for me and I love may not be the right cup of tea for you. So we'll try to match up your interests with performance and see if this is a good purchase for you in particular. If you're watching, at any point, just jump down into the timestamps in the description below the video on YouTube, and you can get to the section of interest or the game of interest that will help you save time and navigate you to the right spot. So let's jump into Vital Intelligence. First of all, historical facts about de Grasse. A little bit of history gives you some interesting flavor for that ship, in that her service was interrupted. Basically, she was an extension of the La Galissonière class. She was designed in 1938 as a bigger and better ship versus her predecessor, which is a Tier 5 tech tree ship in World of Warships Legends. And her keel was laid down in 1939, planned for 9 152mm dual-purpose main battery rifles, making her a light cruiser by armament. She was captured while under construction, so the German army took over the port area of Lorient. Basically, she was only 28% complete at that point, pretty much just a hull. And Hitler actually wanted her repurposed as a light escort carrier, which was actually a gap in the arsenal of the Kriegsmarine. So that was the plan, but the plan failed. There was resource limitations in Germany. There was a threat of Allied air attack at the port. So instead of completing her conversion, she stalled and sat as a hull, did not get destroyed, and after World War II, she was actually fitted out and finally completed, commissioned in 1954 as a slightly modified light anti-aircraft cruiser. Interestingly, she served after that as a French nuclear testing flagship, so they built in washrooms and hermetic sealing and put her in service overseeing nuclear tests in French Micronesia between 1966 and 1972. Her final duty was being scrapped in 1975. Ship namesake. I took Spanish, not French, bear with me. But she's named for Francois Joseph Paul, Comte de Grasse, the Marquis of Grasse-Tilly. He was admiral best known for leading the French Navy at the Battle of Chesapeake in the Revolutionary War, our Revolutionary War in 1781, in that last year. So interesting to look at some of the history, get a better connection with the ship that you might want to purchase. I'm a big history buff. I love World War II. It got me into World of Tanks and into World of Warships, and it's nice to know a little bit of what brought these ships into being and whether they were paper or not. She was not paper, but didn't make it into World War II. All right, Vital Intelligence on de Grasse, getting down to her ship characteristics. So she's a versatile light cruiser. I would recommend her for intermediate to advanced players, not someone who's fresh and new to the game, because cruiser life is hard. You are food for battleships. If we work from left to right across the top panel, we'll hit the stars, right? The key things about each of these sections. From a consumables perspective, she has a lot of flexibility. Besides our damage control party, which is on every ship, she has Sonar 1, She has a speed boost and she has a catapult fighter, which is great for spotting. You move over to her armament from a main battery perspective. She has really good shell arcs, a good reload, decent main battery range, a good combination that makes her artillery very comfortable to use. Both of her shell types are workable. Her armor-piercing rounds are great against broadside cruisers inside of 12 kilometers. Her HE shells will do some pretty good pyromania on enemy battleships. Her fire chance is not amazing, but it's good enough to get the job done, pretty similar to German ships. I often warm up in this ship because she's comfortable to fire her main guns. Torpedoes. She has a 9-kilometer torpedo range with pretty dang good launching angles. So you can surprise ships off at a distance in an attack manner, or you can use those torpedoes to fire behind you when you're retreating or kiting from an area to deny a part of the map to enemy ships. A lot easier torpedoes to use than Japanese cruisers when moving forward because, again, good forward firing angles compared to some other nations. Next star, down below, maximum speed, 36 knots, rudder shift time of 6 seconds, a decent turning circle. One of the few things she suffers at versus La Galicianaire, I cannot pronounce La Gasoline, which I call her tech tree counterpart, is that that ship outturns her, that ship. The de Grasse has a slightly bigger turning circle than her tech tree counterpart, but everything else is pretty much in her favor. To your left, detectability. She's a rather large cruiser. If you play up the tech tree line in the French cruisers, you'll see the low tier cruisers are big, sit out of the water quite high versus the other ships of other nations in the cruiser line. So that makes her suffer detectability wise, which we'll talk about on the next slide to a degree. Also, hit points wise, because she's a larger ship, she has a bigger store of hit points, but she has a citadel that's slightly exposed, so that can whittle that hit point pool down. And she does have some torpedo damage reduction that other cruisers don't get at this tier. So it's not great, it's 10%, but it's better than nothing. Lastly, on the left, there is her awesome looking camo, which is called the Dazzle camouflage. If we have some time loading into a game, we'll talk about it. It's a real camouflage style. Very cool, and premium camouflages on World of Warships Legends give you a benefit to both detection and dispersion. Makes the enemy ship's rounds a little less accurate. So how do we take that statistical information and grade it out? So we're going to look at the main categories that are given to you when you see a ship overview, as up above, that picture of the de Grasse. It shows survivability, artillery, torpedoes, etc., the areas we just examined. If you map those out against all the ships at Tier 5, how does she compare from destroyers through to battleships? CVs not included, right? They're their own monster. Survivability, because that HP pool is decent, but the exposed citadel kind of sits in the middle of the range. Not fantastic, especially if you're broadside. You're going to take citadel hits and you're going to get your health pool whittled down quickly. So better to stay angled and on the move. Do not sit out on the open. See on a broadside position. Artillery, a 3/4. Again, solid rounds, workable from both an HE and an AP perspective. Good damage per minute when you look at all things considered, and fast turret rotation. So you can keep her turrets on target very well while you're twisting and turning, which is a great thing for a cruiser to maximize the number of rounds you can get out of the barrels and onto enemy ships. Torpedoes, 3/4, because of those good launching angles and that long range. The only disadvantage she has versus some of the other cruisers at this tier are fewer torpedoes per side, only 3, but again, 9-kilometer range makes her very workable from a torpedo perspective. Anti-aircraft defense, we don't have to deal with on this day in mid-December 2020, but in 2021, you will care what your anti-aircraft capability is, and you'll find it's passable. It's not great. It's a little bit disappointing for a light cruiser. So we'll see if we get some buffs like a consumable that boosts anti-aircraft fire, and see if that helps out to a degree. But we'll grade her out as middle of the road, just out of 3. Maneuverability at range is especially good, in my opinion. Grade her a 4. When her speed boost is activated, you get a big boost to evasion of enemy main turret rounds, especially battleship rounds that take a while to travel to you. You can do a very good job of dodging those rounds at range. We'll give her a 4. Concealment, again, large size, not great for a cruiser at her tier, not great for a light cruiser in general, but with the appropriate buffs that you can put on her from some of the skills available, you can make that workable. Obviously, she's not as detectable as a battleship, so we'll grade her out as 3/4. Overall, somewhere between 3 and 4, about 3.5. The story is consistently good, but not singularly great in any one category. That's why she doesn't rate higher, but you'll see that 3.5 is well above average, in my opinion, with regard to how she can play under the right conditions. Star up at the top of the chart. Just remember, all premiums get an earnings boost for XP and credits over tech tree ships, which is really helpful when you're grinding campaigns and grinding daily missions and any other premium events, so to speak. All right, play style and setup. So the Grasse is adaptable. Again, I talked up at the outset about flexibility and balance in this ship, and she can adapt to varying roles as a game progresses. In the deployment phase, the first few minutes of a game, you're going to want to take a second line position in general as a light cruiser, and that goes for the Grasse. You're not going to want to be the first ship into a cap. You're not going to want to be the first ship spotted unless you're already evading, you're already turning, or about to get behind terrain, because you will get focus fired. We want to let things develop for a minute or two, preferably letting a teammate get spotted, like an allied battleship, for instance. It might draw some fire and some attention before we open fire. The early to middle phases of the game, we can contain pushes of enemy cruisers that overextend, doing what we just said not to do. Destroyers that try to take caps and get detected, or even push through a flank. We can also start setting battleships on fire at range, and that's something we're going to want to do to try to deny them access to a cap or a flank. Remember I said on the rounds, if you're using AP and you see a broadside cruiser at 12 kilometers or less, we'll want to switch to armor-piercing rounds and really deal some big citadel damage of 3,300 a pop. Otherwise, you're going to do less damage with HE rounds, but the offset of that is you will set some fires. We're going to deny map and cap areas with our long-range torpedoes too in that mid-phase of the game. Later on, endgame, things have thinned out. There's not as many ships on each side. We can close in and hunt destroyers very effectively in the ship. The rate of fire, the ability to turn, the sonar, it all works in our favor. Even our spotting plane helps detect destroyers and torpedoes a little earlier than without one. So we can use that catapult fighter to spot for ourselves even when we're behind islands, and we can cap and defend our base if necessary in the end stage. So the longer the game goes, if we've survived, just like with destroyers, the more deadly we will become. Modification choices. You have 2 slots on this ship. I would suggest Aiming Systems Mod 1 for your first slot, which is going to increase firing accuracy of the main battery and speed up the traverse speed of your torpedo launchers. We didn't talk about secondaries. This extends your secondary range because there's nothing to see here. Secondaries, I think I have 1 or 2 kills in my entire Grasse career, and I've played hundreds of games in this ship. So don't rely on your secondaries to save you, because they won't. Slot 2, steering gears modification 2. We want to reduce our rudder shift time. So we said she has a slightly worse turning circle than her tech tree counterpart. So we're going to put in steering gears mod 2 to buff that rudder shift time. Now, our commander. I'm talking about Commander Sauce because I'm a lover of puns. And Andre Roux, I know in French a roux is a sauce base. So this commander is a good fit for the Grasse. He has the secret sauce, Andre Roux. I made a rhyme too. Sorry for that. Base trait with Roux is an attack skill. We're going to break this down between attack and survival. It's Grenadier. It increases our HE shell damage, which is fantastic because that's the primary type of shell we're going to be firing for the majority of the game. It'll always work against battleships for setting fires. It'll work against cruisers when they're bow into us and we can't penetrate them through the bow with armor-piercing rounds, and it's obviously optimal against destroyers. You use HE when you can. Our legendary trait is a survival skill called Fully Packed. It's going to reduce our consumables reload time by 30% when we're near an ally, And then we'll also, as a passive effect, get +1 to each of our consumables. And again, this has a boatload of consumables on this ship. So getting 1 extra charge of your fighter, your sonar, your speed boost, super helpful. Inspirations. Le Monnier is the commander that originally came with the Grasse when I bought her. I don't use him as the primary captain. I'll tell you about that in a second. But I do like his base skill, which is reduced detection time post-firing of your main battery guns. It allows you to go dark faster, which we'll talk about on our next page. Basically allowing us to slip away when we stop firing and break detection. Quicker than if we didn't have his skill as an inspiration. Norman Scott from the US stable of commanders increases our shell grouping of our main guns. So basically tightens our accuracy. It's an accuracy buff. It is an attack skill, whereas Le Monnier is survival. Skill options on the right. Again, we're going for mobility and survival now. We have a few attack skills that we talked about on the last panel. So what are we going to take as skill options that are basically optional choices? So Ingenious, it's starred because it's the #1 most important skill to me, being a cruiser main, is having the warning indicator, which is the numbered indicator next to your eyeball, your detected eyeball, that tells you how many ships are targeting you at any given time with your main battery. I feel this is a vital and crucial skill. I will not put a commander on a cruiser that doesn't have either Ingenious or another skill called Armed and Ready, which is a 3rd tier skill that does the same thing, gives you that warning indicator. Ingenious is an attack and survival skill because it does increase your gun traverse speed as well. Again, keeps your guns on target while you're twisting and turning. Our next 3 skills are all survival. Full speed ahead is going to increase mobility with ship speed and rudder shift. Sponge is going to reduce our incoming damage and increase the armament's HP and repair time. So every module on your ship, your guns, your rudder, your engine, they actually have their own HP pool. This makes that a little bigger and makes those modules repair faster when they break. Lastly, Steer Clear, another buff to rudder shift time and faster steering gear repair. Certain ship lines from certain nations have certain issues, and Achilles heel of the French cruisers all through the line is the steering gears break easily. They don't have a high hit point pool in that armament bucket. So Steer Clear is a good skill to enhance that durability and to repair steering gears faster, but your steering gears are still going to break. It will not prevent the problem. It'll just help remedy it quicker. All right, so last section of Vital Intelligence. What are some key cruisering skills that we use in the Grasse? Basically benefiting those commander skills we just talked about, those module choices, the base characteristics of the ship. How do we use those in-game? And I'll break that down into 3 basic techniques. The first is situational awareness. I put a picture of the mini-map up at the top of the slide for a reason, and this is why the Grasse isn't the best for a brand new player that can't keep an eye on the mini-map occasionally. You have to be scanning all around you in a cruiser. Sometimes 180 degrees or more will have enemies occupying that territory, so you have to keep track of 1 to 3, sometimes 4 enemies at a time. The mini-map is going to be your friend, as is that warning indicator. That if you're looking at one side of the map at one enemy and you know he's aiming at you, and you have a number 1 that appears on that warning indicator, and all of a sudden it goes to 2 and 3, but you don't see an enemy ship in your zoomed view, you know someone in that other part of your basically detectability range is seeing you from another angle. So again, the mini-map will help you detect that, but it's your ability to scan for pressure from multiple occupied directions that's going to keep you alive, and that's basically what I boil down as situational awareness. Going dark is a skill that would fall under this heading as well. Again, know when to fire and know when to stop fire, break detection, get away, and reposition in a different area. This is really effective. If a battleship is focusing you and you keep firing, he's going to whittle you down and kill you before you can kill him. That's a main reason I died as an early player in World of Warships. I just didn't know when to stop firing. But if we turn that around and realize when to break detection, it'll help us survive longer into matches and do more damage and get more kills and help our team carry a lot more often. Resetting fires on ships that use damage control party is another key thing we want to try to do. So we will actually hopscotch from one ship to another, setting them on fire, seeing if they use their damage control party, and then going back and relighting them on fire so we can accumulate more damage. That's a key skill that is, again, a situational awareness skill that's more of an attack skill. Going dark is a defensive skill. Abusing terrain. We are going to use islands to conceal our ship when we can. The middle of your point, middle of your ship, the midpoint is what determines your detectability. So as long as we're halfway behind an island, we will not be seen even after we fired our main guns. So a lot of times I'll initiate a turn in a cruiser, fire, knowing that I'm going to fire, and then go directly behind an island that's going to block the midpoint of my ship and basically make it a lot harder for an enemy to return fire on me. So follow the midpoint spotting rule. You can use that at terrain abuse, sitting still, or when you're on the move. Again, time your turns to fire and then pass behind islands, or find a good spot to sit behind an island and lob shells over. De Grasse has a relatively low firing angle, not as high arcing, not rainbow like the US cruisers. So she's not as purposeful behind islands. But the good news is she can play in open water with her mobility and influence a match that way, and then other times be behind an island and fire over a low spot and use terrain to her advantage, spotting with her own fighter, which is fantastic. Third strategy, kiting. It's changing speed and direction and timing your shots on enemy reload. So we're going to basically swing our back end out, get all our turrets on target, and fire when we know the enemy isn't reloaded. Then we'll tuck back in, show him a narrow target, a moving target, a twisting and turning target, let him fire at us and miss. Then we'll swing back out again and fire all of our guns, or at least our most predominant set of batteries, either the front guns or the back, depending on whether you're in a German cruiser, French cruiser, Japanese. Kiting typically involves changing speed and direction and moving away from the enemy. It's kind of like leading a kite on a string. That's, I guess, where the name came from it. You will often distract and frustrate battleships so bad when you kite in a ship like De Grasse that they'll just give up at firing at you and find a target that's easier to hit, like one of your battleship friends. Then once they get distracted, you can be a little more aggressive in showing broadside, keeping all guns on target by watching that warning indicator and seeing if that number's dropped to 2 to 1 or even to 0. Those are strategies we're going to look out for when we play and see what we can employ and talk about as we're playing our matches. And we're to our live play session, guys. So we're going to play 3 games, maybe 4, and we're going to play these games solo. So we're not going to play in division. A lot of ship reviews I watch, it's not talked about in the voiceover, but it's in a division. So you can't rely on having support in general as a player in World of Warships, especially as a new player if you're not divisioning a lot. So always assume you're on your own, that you're not going to get backup, so you have to play smart, you have to play patient, and make good decisions. And with cruisers, that means from start of the game to the finish, you have to make good decisions, because it's a one mistake ship. You can lose most or even all of your health if you make a lethal mistake in a cruiser. We will track and record our results, sum those up at the end. We'll do a little cut break to sum up the results and review a scorecard. And again, basically give you some final statements and say, does this ship's performance meet your expectations for how your play style is, for how you like to play? And again, our whole idea here is to make $40 be very well spent for you, not $40 you feel like, I flushed that money, I don't like this ship, and there's really nothing I can do about it at this point. We want to make it a happy and a very positive decision for you when you choose to buy De Grasse. And I think as we play through these games, it'll be pretty apparent whether she fits your style or not. So it's tally ho, and we will see you on the other side. All right, folks, we've received word from the bridge that Commander Rue is ready to roll. We're going to get into our third segment of Ship Style Live here, our gameplay session with the light cruiser De Grasse. Narrow down the port to just her and her sister ship, the La Galissoniere, both tier 5. And as we're loading in, I think we may have hit on it, but let's just revisit really quickly Grasse's really cool camouflage. Her and Jean Bart share a neat camouflage pattern that was invented in the World War I time frame. It's called the Dazzle camouflage. And those stripes with intersecting patterns actually were just confusing geometric shapes to try to confuse the eye and make enemy gunners basically underestimate speed or misjudge bearing or distance. So pretty unique and cool camouflage pattern. I must say that's probably one of the initial things that attracted me to Grasse when I first bought her back on PC 3.5 years ago. And Jean Bart has that same cool pattern, and you can see it looks like there's bends, it looks like there's dips into her hull. But when you look on the side, it is straight. So optical illusion camo is pretty cool. All right, we are on estuary. So in a perfect situation, we'll have two forces kind of equally balanced between the two flanking caps. We'll have at least one DD potentially probe the middle to make sure we don't get rushed up the middle and base capped. And we're gonna be high tier, which is kind of a nice for our first game. And as we've talked about, this is not a domination mode. There are no caps except for the base caps, but we're not going to rush into these middle areas where the caps would be across the middle in domination mode. We're going to let our destroyer spot for us, keeping in mind that even when he gets out past this island, he won't be detected. So if we fire and we get spotted first, they're not going to be shooting at the pod. They're going to be shooting at us. So just some important facts to bear in mind with regard to not getting focus fired. So we take our first shot when we're basically lining up behind the island. Nuremberg just turned in time. If we can continue to get shots where the Nuremberg is parked, we'll hold position, but it looks like the Nuremberg's going to keep moving on, and we know there's a DD inside that center area with the pod because we did get spotted when we went across the gap. And there he is, the Mutsuki. So we'll check our shoulder, make sure we're not running into an island. See if we can help out on the Mutsuki. Every bit of damage we take off that Mutsuki is an advantage for our destroyer that's in the knife fight in that cap. Every little bit will help. Be able to land our first two salvos. And he's going to smoke up. So we're going to switch to the Nern. And we're going to switch ammo types as well. We're going to go to armor-piercing rounds. Let's hope the Podvoisky can finish off Mutsuki, but that did not happen. Looks like we've lost 3 ships already, guys. This is what happens when you rush, get detected, get overextended. You have a flank that melts, you have a significant loss of teammates, and then you wind up getting focus fired by more and more ships because there's fewer targets to split fire amongst. So we're not off to a great start. We're going to keep trying to go with AP on the Nuremberg because his side armor is very fragile. There was a Citadel hit, and that was from about 12 kilometers. That'll show you what we can do with armor-piercing ammunition against broadside cruisers. Omaha, what are you doing, dude? There's a battleship back behind that island. Omaha is next to die to the Texas. Have to have a little bit of patience to let the game develop. And our team is not exhibiting any of that required patience whatsoever. Gotta fire.
That's what I have created!
Free sound effects, no extra charge to you. It's a free video. I'm gonna try not to show full broadside to the Texas when he is able to get his shots in the gaps between the hills on those islands. So we're also just gonna keep twisting, keep turning, basically we're kiting. We're just doing it kind of laterally right now instead of running away. And there's a second fire. So we talked about this when we reviewed the concept of situational awareness. We know we set one fire on the Texas. He repaired. Now this second fire is going to burn for the duration of that fire, or until his damage control party recharges. And it's amazing the Omaha is still alive. We've lost 5 ships already. Part of our issue is this New Mexico is completely behind an island. Not engaging. Not that that's the reason that we're down so many ships. It's not, but... I mean, I could charge the center area just for giggles, but I won't live very long. Gonna keep an eye on our cap and see what we can possibly claw back here. You never know. So our eastern flank has been pretty much obliterated, it looks like. So we're going to expect pressure on our cap shortly. Omaha must be dead now because we're not getting any spotting. Alright, we will push central because this Mutsuki is low health as well as the Warspite. We haven't even killed the ship yet, guys. Let's keep on harassing the Texas. Not going to quite be able to get our shot up and down over that island. And there's the expected base capping. I know the Nuremberg is extremely low health. Attempt to shoot him over the island. Get some torpedoes off on the Texas, just in case he comes this way. Nuremberg is reversing. Gonna kite away from the Texas. Nuremberg down. Now if the New Mexico would actually come out and confront the Texas, that would be fantastic. Gonna use our speed boost and our hydroacoustic now. Contend with some enemies here at the base. I know the Mayhan's gonna be shooting torpedoes at us. Too bad we fired those torpedoes. Alright, not a lot we can do in that situation. Not a ton we can do with a melting team. So cruiser life, when your team gets depleted so rapidly, is that you start to get focus fired because there's no battleships left to, or teammates left essentially, to draw fire away from you. And that's typically your role. You're going to be firing on enemy ships while they're at least partially distracted and not focusing down on you 100%. So when you have a melting team like that and you're in a cruiser and it's 2 or 3 v1, it's going to be really tough for you to survive very long. We had to flex back to the cap. We were going to lose the cap very quickly. We didn't really have any choice but to try to work our way in there, and we did the best that we could given the circumstances. All right, back into battle we go. Yeah, I thought the Texas might turn in and pursue us. That's why I shot torpedoes off on that starboard side. Unfortunately, I didn't save them because I might have at least gotten the torpedo hits on the Warspite coming through. But it is what it is. I didn't anticipate 2 DDs, or the Omaha and the Mayhan, to already be in the cap, on top of the 2 ships that were coming from their cap. So 4v1 is a little tough. All right, so we're in on ring, which means we might be high tier again. And we are. Let's just hope that our team remains a little more patient in this match. Can we just hope for small miracles? We're looking at capture the base again, not domination. So I'm basically going to draw a line from the upper left-hand corner of this mini-map down to the lower right. That middle angled line would be kind of my line of confrontation, and there's really no need to go beyond that line in this match. We didn't need our Omaha to do it in the last game. We didn't need our Podvoisky to get totally stuck into that central area or beyond so quickly, given that he's a Russian destroyer and doesn't have great detectability. Great concealment, I should say. He's pretty detectable for a destroyer. Unfortunately, we were one shot short of killing the Mutsuki. We were one shot short of killing the Nürnberg initially. Might have helped tilt things in our favor a little bit, but honestly, some teams just cannot be helped. They just can't. Okay, we're going to go into an evasive turn because we're already spotted at. I mean, we barely turned to the middle. And there's obviously one of the 3 destroyers headed our way. We're already taking fire from up to 3 ships. So we're going to hit the speed boost as well.
Engine boost activated.
Marblehead is Omaha class, very weak armor. So I'm going to try to get some armor-piercing shots on him. And spawn position did not really help us out there. Okay, let's just back away. Lost half our health, so we're going to have to be a little bit cagey with how we handle the rest of this match. So much fire coming in so quickly, you guys. Okay, I'm going to select the Omaha. Good grief. That was pretty crazy how quickly we got spotted up by the majority of their team. Back to AP for this buddy. Hopefully we can show on a broadside cruiser what we can do with our armor-piercing rounds. He stays broadside to us. Looks like he might be giving us some broadside shots. We're no longer being targeted. We're checking that targeting indicator. So we're just going to keep angling in on this Spadioni. Doing some good damage on him. Okay. You little sucker.
The ship is on fire.
Fast and furious. Loaded HE just in case we needed to confront that destroyer in the middle. Didn't have to do that, so we're going to be back on armor piercing now, back on the Spadioni. He may eat a torp. No, he's just going to evade. Just going to kite away from him. Oh, we have ships on both sides, though. Just checking the mini-map. Hopefully we don't draw too much fire from the cruiser off to our right. Down 2 ships again. Who is that at 7 kilometers? Trento.
The ship is on fire.
He may have to take you out.
Solved, sir.
Oh, unlucky. Over Penn City. Okay. There's a Citadel.
Sweet.
Spadioni's still hanging around.
Engine boost deactivated.
We go back to armor piercing since he's bow in. Got the Marblehead possibly getting in our range too. Keep an eye on him. You see where you're sitting, Spadioni. You can reach him over the island, it looks like. Just keep chipping away. Teammate took him out. Marblehead is gonna try to light our battleship on fire, so we're gonna try to provide support for him, get him off his back. We'll hit him over the island. We don't see the mountain indicator, so we're good with getting our shots up and over the hill there. I can't afford to show broadside even to that Marblehead right now. I'm gonna keep HE loaded.
All stations requesting fire on the designated target.
I'm gonna go with our hydroacoustic just in case there's torpedoes coming. Say goodbye to the Podvoisky.
Yes.
Thank you for coming. Clawing our way back. We know there's a T-22 out in that smoke. That's my next goal. Support my battleship friend. Maybe get some fire on the Marblehead on the way. I hope that battleship senses that there's a destroyer in that smoke. Get a plane up to assist with our spotting capability. Gonna hit our speed boost.
Engine boost activated.
Just don't want to tip our hand to this Koenig if we don't have to. The T-22 is still in smoke, or we'd be getting detected. There's his torpedoes. Shattered on the Koenig. We fired and we were behind the island the first time. We're gonna elevate our angle of shooting a little bit so we hit the superstructure, hopefully. And there he is. Die. He was sitting very still. Hoping the Koenig is going to stay locked in on the battleship. That's my goal, or my hope. Meanwhile, we're going to work on the T-22. That was a good one. We got multiple modules wrecked.
Sweet.
Okay, now the Koenig. We're hoping that he's kind of a battleship player that's going to aim at the easier target.
That was a great battle.
Ugh, we needed him to live. So now, while he was alive, we had, again, someone to shield us and help divide fire. Now we're going to have to be very careful. We're slightly behind in points. I have no teammates in my vicinity whatsoever. So I'm going to try to break detection. Okay. Missed. First thing we're going to do is break detection, then we're going to try to reposition on the opposite side of our cap. And we're going to hope that our teammates can do something or anything to help me out. Remember, I have about 11.3 kilometer detection based on our statistical review during our vital intelligence section. So right now, if I fire, I'm going to be giving full broadside, and that is no bueno. So again, we're going to try to get on the opposite side of our cap so we can kite away, showing our butt to him as we defend our cap. We really need to get some pressure on their cap or to get a kill. So you're going to see a classic kiting scenario here. Let's hope this guy doesn't have the world's greatest aim. Not even aiming his guns at us right now, but we're spotted by someone else. Who is spotting us? This could be bad, because if there's an enemy cruiser keeping us lit and or firing at us, we don't have a ton of hit points. Omaha. Where are my teammates? Dudes! Not really worried about Omaha armor-piercing rounds from this distance. I'm gonna keep my butt to the Koenig. Ooh, looks like we're getting some cap pressure. I need to be very, very careful. Koenig's accuracy from this range isn't necessarily the best, but one well-placed shot in our citadel right now is going to be the end of us. First thing we can try, try a little out of range for torpedoes. We are going to put in some fire. I can lead both these guys out to sea and we can get pressure on their base. That would be good. Omaha's actually in our cap. Ugh. Not good. Got him off our cap.
Problem solved, sir.
Come on. Okay, we are getting some team support now. So let's go to armor piercing and see if we can get some citadel hits on this Omaha. Potentially. He's doing a good job of turning right now. Come on. Get in his citadel. Showing us broadside. This could be a good shot. Yes. Yes. Oh no, we're on the border. Really need to take out the Omaha before we die. Speed boost.
Engine boost activated.
Gonna try to go dark. Ugh, he got us. Come on, guys, kill the Omaha. We got pinned on the border, and we just barely missed landing a killing blow on that Omaha. Look at him, he has almost no health left. I fear for our cruiser. Unless the Dallas isn't spotted, he is. He probably is not going to survive this encounter. I don't know what our destroyer's doing. He's getting absolutely no pressure on these ships, so he could have at least gone and capped. Dallas, you cannot show him broadside. Yeah, that's not going to work out. So guys, as amazing as this sounds, we had a little bit of gap in the action there at the end where I basically cut out because it looked like we were headed for a loss. There was a 2-minute period of our Fubuki basically sitting in smoke, and then he had a miracle torpedo hit on the enemy battleship to sink him, which was the Koenig, and he was able to gun down the Omaha because the Omaha basically had like 100 hit points left. So we wound up pulling out that victory. We wound up on the top of the leaderboard. The Fubuki came in second with a high caliber. We just managed to beat him out on experience points. So again, that was a classic kiting match. An organized retreat, but basically keeping those two ships at bay long enough for our two teammates to come back to cap. And I don't know how, but ultimately the Fubuki pulled out a miracle. So Synchros Entity, congratulations to you and good work. So we're 1-1 in our 2 games, and we will load into game number 3. That's a shocker. I'm very surprised that we pulled that out, but this game never ceases to amaze me at times. All right, our first match was a team that really struggled. Second match there, the team wound up getting behind, but you never know. If you survive long enough, you can rally and stage a comeback, and it looks like we managed to do that. We are high tier both times. Let's see how we fare this time in the matchmaking. We're on Haven. Typically, that's going to be a higher tier map, so I'm going to take a guess that we're the low tier ship, but no. Matchmaking loves us tonight. We are high tier again. So yeah, the first two matches have really shown two different strategies. In that first match, we tried to be patient and abuse terrain, sit behind those islands, and find a good position to deal damage just with the help of the destroyer spotting. But when the team folded, that strategy obviously wasn't going to have staying power when we were being outnumbered. Second match was a classic kiting, organized retreat. And I'm not saying that just because it's a friendship. No French jokes here. You can do that in any cruiser. But what you see happened is that we were just basically able to keep the enemy at bay, keep our cap reset, drove that Omaha out of our cap, nearly killed him, got him down to so low health that the Mutsuki could finish him off. So, wound up being a strategy that worked out. I am still firing AP at the Omaha, so let's get it switched off. Hey, we got a pen for 330 damage. The Congo. Sorry, make that an overpen of superstructure. We'll switch back to high explosive, try to set that Congo on fire. That would be our preferred mode of damage from this distance. Again, as we talked about in the vital statistics section, I am not really going to, on average, try to be shooting AP at targets more than, say, 12 kilometers away in this ship. Just AP, the effectiveness of it falls off over distance, and it loses its penetrating power. So, again, 12 kilometers and in, especially at broadside cruisers, heck yeah. Further distances out, not going to necessarily be our best bet. Get one more round on the Fubuki, not gonna happen. Icarus we might catch sitting still. And we're just gonna do classic open water maneuvering right now. Ducking in, ducking out. Someone needs to take out that Furataka. Signal for focus fire on him. He is breaking our rule of not going straight into the cap in a cruiser. Start of a game. And he was the victim of a devastating strike. Not shocking, eh? Okay, Königsberg, you look like your course may take you into the island. Nope, just behind. We're going to hit our speed boost, increase our maneuverability. Oh, hello, Königsberg. You're a great ship, but you don't want broadside AP from me at 10 kilometers. You really don't. Just because it's loaded, we'll get one shot on the Congo with AP. Is the Königsberg going to run to the corner? So, guys, if you have a torpedo lead indicator, use it when you're in a cruiser. Gives you the speed and direction of the enemy ship that you're targeting with your torpedoes. Let's pretend their destroyer is going to leave the corner. Yeah, we're teed up on him. We know he's coming. Switch back to armor piercing, actually. Rapid reload, guys. It's a real benefit of this ship. Soon, right there on the corner. Sneak some rounds right in this angle. And there we go. Citadel hit. Leander is broadside. He has thin skin as well. Just going to evade those torpedoes. Okay, not going to happen, probably. So we're going to switch back to HE and help on the Jaguar. If we can. Nice. All right, let's head into the central area. See if we can support on this Icarus. couple salvos in on him. Looks like he's going to turn out now. Maybe stay in our range. Oh, just landed behind him. How did he evade that? If he turns, he's going to slow down. Killed before our shells can land. All right. So let's go to work on setting some fires. Got a good advantage. We're going to watch our spotted indicator, see if a number appears next to it, just to keep track of if we're getting targeted. Try to break detection here. There's the fire. He's got 2 burning, so that's telling me he probably is going to have some issues putting these fires out. It's going to allow us to stack some good quality damage. How do we play this? We have... I don't know if that's an AFK cruiser. I'm going to be a little bit on the safe side here. Turn out just in case that cruiser just isn't shooting anybody. We don't want to be contending with the battleships from one direction and the cruiser from another. Try to go some AP rounds on the Leander. If we get the right angle from here, we should be able to get Citadel hits. He only has armor-piercing rounds. Oh, hello, Mutsu. Okay, here's where we can try to deny an enemy's advance with some torpedoes, guys. So we're going to swing our butt one way. If he's crafty, he'll know that we're launching torpedoes based on the angles we're taking. But you never know. We're going to swing on the other side. What's kind of cool with this is we get 2 sets of torpedoes going on kind of intersecting paths. They're not just fired on the same line of travel. So if he bows in to evade the first set, he may still blunder into the second. Right now, he doesn't seem to be changing course a whole lot, but he may have changed his speed. Doesn't look like it's going to quite get there in time. Ouch. Speed boost. Yeah, you turn into the second set. That would be good. He's going to have to basically take his attention to the battleship that's closer to him, which is what we want. Keeps trucking forward. We might get a torpedo hit. It's looking pretty good. Yeah. Woo. Sink him. Now we want him on fire. Yeah. All right.
Ouch, town population, you, bro!
Love that. That's where that opposite set of torpedoes. Go ahead and swing and fire the second. Even though it looks obvious that you're doing that to you, it may not be obvious to them. And that second set really seals the deal. If he changes his direction to avoid the first, a lot of times you can get lucky. Hey, ring up another one. Take it. Yeah, he swings in to miss that first set, and the second set is on a different axis of travel. We own 3 of the 4 caps. We're down to 1 cruiser. Gosh, is that the... Oh, it's the Leander. Well, we know where he's at. He's out here somewhere. Feeling extremely lonely at this point. So far, guys, are these the highest damage games in the world? No. But the first game didn't allow us to really accumulate a whole lot of damage at all. The second game, we did a decent number, but we got focused down so hard early, we lost half our health in the first turn. That usually doesn't happen in that spot. So we had to play a little bit conservatively, and we were able to help the team secure the victory using our kiting technique. In this game, we are using open water maneuvering and using that terrain, popping in and out of the edges of these islands, breaking detection when necessary, and using our torpedoes to deny an area and score a hit that yielded a kill, and then clean up with a kill secure. We won't call it a kill steal on the second battleship. We were working on that guy a little bit earlier too. So we definitely contributed on him. All right, we got a campaign milestone. Let's see how we did. We finished second place behind the Koenig. Congrats to Koenig, a great game for him. And 3 kills again, guys. Very consistent. Just to give you a sense of the economy. So we talked about the premium ship economy. Earned in battle, the far left corner. Credits, 151,000. Premium time bonus of 75,000. So that's your premium bonus. And the premium ship bonus is built into that 151,000 credits. Got a total of 195,000 credits. The second column, you'll get to see the premium ship bonus that kicks in under modifiers. So we got an extra 714 XP for running de Grasse, and also 714 Commander XP. So you won't necessarily see the benefit of that XP unless you spend doubloons to convert it to use on another ship as free XP. So that XP stays a little bit trapped, but we do get a higher global XP total, and we do get some extra Commander XP, which helps us with leveling up commanders. So, all right, 3 games and 3 pretty good results. Let's take her back out one more time, see what a 4th game brings. A little bit of fuel. I'm pretty excited because we've been able to basically demonstrate all 3 of the kind of key cruisering skills, inventing a word, that we talked about in our vital intelligence section. So from a situational awareness perspective, we've had to sense pressure. We really got pressure in that last game in the beginning. So know when to hold them, know when to fold them. At some point I saw 2, 3 and more ships targeting us. We had to turn out and just survive that initial engagement, which we did, to continue to contribute to our team's success. We were scanning the minimap frequently. That's how we knew that Trento was on the opposite side in that last game before this too. So we got on the other side, killed him off, because we're watching the minimap and watching that spotted indicator. See how many ships are targeting us. And while the 2 games ago featured kiting, that last game really was abusing terrain. It was popping in and out of those islands on Haven. That's what you're going to do in a cruiser a lot. Notice I didn't have to sit still like in a US cruiser, because I have the speed and maneuverability in de Grasse with this build to stay on the move, stay active, and continue to use those islands, but use them as I time my turns in and out of the gaps. Show myself fire, get a couple salvos in, then duck back into detection. Or show around a corner, take out a Königsberg with guns, show out around a corner, take out the Mutsu with torpedoes. Again, so flexible, this ship, so much versatility to her, and, you know, balance. Yeah, she has some traits that aren't as good. She rates to me about a 3.5. But it doesn't mean they're the worst of her class. Everything is at least good or pretty good, if not downright excellent. So it's that balance across categories that makes her exceptional with regard to how she fits my play style, my ship style. All right. The other ships at center spawn went to support the A cap, so we're going to support the C cap. We'd really like to get early fire on a Belfast. He sped up. It's a tricky ship to deal with. We at least want to put him under pressure. Not let him just set up shop. Okay. Taking fire from the Pensacola. That's the number 1 indicator. RNG is his friend. We did get him back. I'm a little far away to be running AP against the Pensacola, even though he's a pretty squishy target. We are up tiered in this match, or at least level tier. No, we're up tier. We have tier 6 ships like the Belfast that we're contending with. Now, if we keep closing range on this Pensacola, we can switch to armor piercing. We'll kind of follow him around the corner here and see if he continues to show broadside. We'll go ahead and load armor piercing. We're going to hit the speed boost. We did get a hit on him, so we got some cap defense points. Affectionately nicknamed the Pepsi Cola for its Pepsi can thin armor. But you have to find the Citadel to get the big hits, guys. Otherwise, it's just a full pen. It's not the extra damage from the Citadel hit like that. You have a Citadel hits mission. You don't need to take your battleships out, guys. Use your cruisers. Get in close enough to do broadside damage, like we're doing right now, and out he goes.
You can't handle the truth.
Okay, so now we're gonna switch off to the Normandy. He's aiming at a target to his left, so we're actually completely behind the island right now, so we can slow down a little. Bring our shots in over the hill. Hitting some shatters. For shattering, it means we're hitting the side of the ship, most likely. We're not hitting up top where the armor's thinner. Oh, you know what? 9-kilometer range, right? Let's throw out some speculative torpedoes. If he happens to slow down a little bit when he comes around this corner, he could be in definite torpedo range. Shoot some HE at him to encourage him to slow a little bit. And what's the Belfast doing? The Belfast is broadside to us, so let's go to armor piercing rounds. We can't win a straight up gunfight with the Belfast, but situationally we could win it if we can put the hurt on him with some AP. It's pretty squishy. There was a 5,000 damage salvo. 5,000 plus. A kite angle away because he's firing armor piercing at us. Now we're back to armor piercing again. Aiming a little bit above him, anticipating he's going to turn out. We're going to fix our engine. See, when the targets are angled, that armor piercing is just not going to work quite as well. Unless we hit up above on the superstructure. Okay, we're running him out of town. You don't want the Belfast to command an area, so... Oh, shoot, he spotted us. Okay, abuse islands. Put up our spotter plane. How about torpedoes off the other side? Ugh.
Main turret critically damaged.
Okay, let's be
Our team is taking the lead.
a little bit coy here. Not show ourselves completely. Oh, we are spotted. We need to back up. We're able to get our front turrets in, then half the ship is behind the island, and boom, we lose detection. That's that midpoint spotting rule we talked about earlier as well. How are those torps doing? Oh, we're gonna get a torp hit. Yeah, now we want to pop out and set it on fire. We got a flood. Got a flood. If he fixed the flood. Oh, he is on fire already. We set him on fire again. He's dead for sure. Okay, our teammate's fire burned him down. I don't mind losing the kill if we're going to contribute like that. Not a problem at all. Hello, Mr. Belfast. I fear a Belfast when he has team support. I don't fear a Belfast or really any cruiser at these tiers when their teammates are dead, like right now. Let's hit our speed boost and see if we can pursue. Whoops. Activated. Belfast does not have torpedoes, so we don't have to worry about that. Check the minimap and see what angle he's at. It's kind of heading right to left. Gonna pick up some base cap points, which is great. Speed boost, we should be able to outpace this guy. Now it's just finding the right lead. Just behind him and he's out. Alright. So we're up tiered. Got 57,800 damage. These are solid damage scores game after game. That's solid contribution. We've killed one ship in this match with 4 Citadel hits to that Pensacola. We nearly killed the Normandy. So close, just a hair away. And even though our damage total isn't super high, am I really sad about it? No, we're top 3 when we're low tier. We contributed very strongly again to that match. As a low tier cruiser, we were able to play rather aggressively. We closed into 10 kilometers to kill off their Pensacola. And we closed into 7 kilometers using that island in a very cagey fashion to basically put the death blow on the Normandy. So I'm perfectly happy with how that match worked out from my perspective, even though, again, these matches weren't cherry-picked. I could play another 10 games and get a match that shows you 80 to 100,000 damage and maybe gets you a Kraken. But this was 4 matches in a row to show you progression from a game that was more difficult to ones that actually got better and better as we went along. Did we contribute in each match? Absolutely. We were the last survivor in the first match, or very close to it, and we wound up top of the board. Unfortunately, we had a team that did not pursue a sane strategy. In the final 3 games, we contributed in each game. We just didn't wind up with a massive damage total, but we did versatile things across the board, like torpedo hits, Citadel hits, capping, and taking out crucial enemy ships at key times. So, guys, we're going to head back to port, and we are going to tally our results, and we'll be right back to see how the scores work out from a numerical perspective and leave you with some parting thoughts about whether de Grasse is the right ship to fit with your style of play. All right, folks, we played our 4 games in the light cruiser de Grasse. Let's summarize our results on our match scorecard and see how we did. In game 1, we were on Estuary with a team that melted faster than hot butter. We still wound up with a first team placement, 217,000 credits, almost 40,000 damage, a kill, a Citadel hit, and 5 fires, but it was a pretty inglorious defeat. In game 2 on Ring, we wound up being high tier again. Got the first team placement, 307,000 credits with the benefit of our first win bonus, 56,000 damage with 3 kills, 3 Citadel hits, a fire, and a last second comeback victory by our Fubuki. Fubuki, I will never doubt you again. So appreciative. Game 3, we were on Haven. That was the game where we said, hey, Mutsu, have a twerp. We wound up again high tier, very luckily, 3 times in a row. We got the second place on the team, 227,000 credits, 61,000 damage, 3 kills again, 3 Citadel hits, 4 fires, and a torpedo hit for pretty resounding victory for our team. And the last game was on Northern Waters. We basically smacked down that Pepsi Cola with multiple Citadel hits towards the beginning of the game. Even though we were low tier, we finished 3rd on our team with, again, almost 220,000 credits, 57,800 damage, a kill, 4 Citadel hits, a torpedo hit, and an assist in getting a cap for what was, again, a strong victory for our side. So when you look at the match scorecard, overall, what you see is consistent results, consistently strong credit gains over 200,000, consistently strong team placements, and relatively consistent damage totals. I've told you this isn't going to be the cherry-picked best game that I've had in de Grasse. We could have played more games and gotten that, but what you see is consistent ability to contribute to the success of our team. And around 60,000 damage in this ship is nothing to sneeze at in an average match. And the number of kills we racked up, the Citadel hits, the fires, all those things would help you when you're running campaigns. So those are the types of things you're going to have to do in addition to accumulating damage and accumulating experience points. is knock out those mission targets based on these categories like kills, citadel hits, torpedo hits, capping bases. And DeGrasse, with her versatile nature, can basically do it all. So again, one reason I love this ship. But will you love her? Is she a ship that will work well for you? Let's get to our conclusions on why to buy DeGrasse. So if you can check these following tick boxes, then you could probably feel pretty dang comfortable that DeGrasse fits your style as well as she fits mine. First of all, do you enjoy playing a support role and being patient during the opening stages of a match? You saw what happened to our Omaha that charged into the cap in the first game we played tonight. Completely obliterated. You can't do that with a light cruiser. You have to stand off and take that opening round like we talked about in the vital intelligence section and just see how things shape up before you figure out where you're going to contribute best with your initial positioning. So you have to be a little bit patient. You can't charge directly in. If you want to charge directly in, be in a destroyer, not in DeGrasse. Number 2, if you have a baseline of experience, it gives you some level of situational awareness to see what's happening around you in multiple directions. If you can kind of walk and chew gum to the extent that you can drive your ship and check the minimap occasionally, then you're going to have the basic skill set you need to be aware of what's going on around you and succeed in a cruiser in general and a shifty, faster traveling cruiser like DeGrasse. Third point. Do you value mobility and HE spamming as a primary playstyle role, or do you like to straight up brawl? If you prefer to get in and brawl at close distances for most of a match, then DeGrasse isn't going to be the ship for you. You can see that she can close in the late stages of a match. You can see that she can close situationally against another light cruiser like we did against the Pensacola and be very successful. But you can't move in on battleships like that all the time, though. We got in within 6 kilometers of that French battleship in the last game to sink her, or nearly sink her, with a torpedo. Same with the Mutsu. But that's not a style you're going to be able to employ the entire match. It's going to be a hit-and-run tactic in a ship like DeGrasse. Fourth point, can you cope with being food for battleships? And basically enjoy spending most of your matches trying to avoid being food for those guys and not get eaten. So battleship players love to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner entree cruisers. That's how it goes. So if you don't like that style of being the hunted on a consistent basis, then play a ship like a battleship that's tankier and can take some significant hits and not worry about it as much as you have to do in a cruiser. But if you like to evade, if you like to break detection, reposition, use terrain to go dark, then you're going to enjoy the playstyle of a ship like DeGrasse. And lastly, point 5, can you bounce back mentally after making a potentially game-ending mistake? In any set of 5 games in a cruiser like DeGrasse, I'm going to have a game like that second game where within a minute to 2 minutes of the match starting, I've lost a significant amount of health. That game we lost more than I like to lose. We lost half our health. But we managed to survive late into that game and kite and keep those ships off our base and contribute significantly enough to have a first team placement and set it up for that. Again, the Fubuki, I'll never doubt you, Fubuki-san, again, to be the hero at the end of the match. So, again, these are the points that you're going to have to reconcile with your playstyle to see if DeGrasse basically fits how you like to play. So, only you can decide that for you. But, again, these points align. You're going to really love this ship like I do. She is a blast to play. All right, I want to say at the end here, thank you for watching episode 1 of Ship Style. I really, really appreciate it. I'm new at cutting these videos. I'm new at being a streamer, but I just really hope you got some value out of this guide. And I hope you will maybe drop a like on this video or subscribe to my YouTube channel if you got some value out of it, or come over to Twitch, drop me a follow and check out some of our live streams. You can ask any questions during those sessions if you want further information on the DeGrasse or other ships that we're playing on stream. Again, guys, thank you for watching. Really, really appreciate it. Leave any comments below for me in the section down at the bottom of the page, and check those section timers if you want to jump to any specific part of this video that you enjoyed. So that's it. I'm VannKraken. I am out. Thanks for coming and watching Ship Style, guys. Really, really appreciate it. Bye.